Pratyutpanna Buddha Sammukhāvasthita Samādhi Sūtra, translated from Sanskrit into Chinese in the Eastern Han Dynasty by the Tripitaka master Lokashema from the Yezhi Land.
Thus, for opening a sutra, the unsurpassed profound and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of aeons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning.
Chapter 1. The Questions. Thus I have heard. At one time, the Bhagavan was in the Karanda bamboo garden of the city of Rajagriha, together with an innumerable multitude of great bodhisattvas, bhikshus, bhikshunis, upasakas and upasikas, as well as gods, dragons, asuras, yakshas, garudas, kinnaras, and mahoragas. All were seated in the huge assembly. At that time, Bhadrapala Bodhisattva rose from his seat, arranged his attire, and fell on his knees. He joined his palms and asked the Buddha, "I would like to ask some questions. May I have your permission to ask them now?" The Buddha replied, "Very good. Ask any questions as you wish. I will answer them to you." Bhadrapala Bodhisattva asked the Buddha, "What dharmas should bodhisattvas do in order to develop wisdom, like the immense ocean, accepting myriad streams? What should they do in order to acquire broad knowledge and understand what they have heard without doubts? What should they do in order to know their past lives and whence they have come to reborn? What should they do in order to live a long life? What should they do in order to be reborn into a family with a great name and to be loved and respected by their parents, siblings, relatives, and friends? What should they do in order to be endowed with even, comely features? What should they do in order to acquire excellent talents, to be outstanding in the multitudes, and to develop superb, all-encompassing wisdom? What should they do in order to acquire the merit and wisdom required for Buddhahood, to achieve immeasurable awesome power, and to adorn their magnificent Buddha lands? What should they do in order to subjugate hostile Maras? What should they do in order to achieve command so that their vows will never fail? What should they do in order to enter the door of total retention? What should they do in order to acquire the transcendental powers to travel to Buddha lands everywhere? What should they do in order to acquire the bold valor of a lion with nothing to fear, unmovable by Maras? What should they do in order to realize their holy Buddha nature and to accept and uphold the Dharma in the sutras with understanding, not forgetting anything? What should they do in order to achieve self-fulfillment, free from sycophancy and flattery, and unattached to the three realms of existence? What should they do in order to be free from hindrances and to acquire the overall wisdom knowledge, never deviating from the Buddha's intention? What should they do in order to win people's trust? What should they do in order to acquire the 8 tones of a Buddha and sound 10,000 Koti tones? What should they do in order to acquire the sublime appearance of a Buddha? What should they do in order to acquire the power of all hearing? What should they do in order to acquire the Bodhi eye to see into the future? What should they do in order to acquire the 10 powers and true wisdom? What should they do in order to see in a single thought Buddhas from worlds in the 10 directions, all standing before them? What should they do in order to know that the four appearances of every Dharma have no reality, what should they do in order to see in this world innumerable Buddha lands in the 10 directions, and to know the good and evil life journeys of the people, gods, dragons, spirits, and wriggly insects in those lands? These are my questions. I pray that the Buddha will explain to me and resolve all my doubts. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, "Very good. Your questions are so comprehensive that they are beyond measure. You can ask these questions because you have acquired merit in your past lives under past Buddhas, because you have made offerings to Buddhas, delighted in the Dharma in the Sutras, observed your precepts and lived in purity. Because you have always begged for food, not accepting meal invitations, convened assemblies of bodhisattvas, taught people to stop doing evil, and seen the equality of all. And because you have always had great loving kindness and great compassion, your merit is beyond measure." The Buddha told Bhadrapala, "There is a samadhi called Buddhas from worlds in the 10 directions, all standing before one. If you can do this Dharma, you will have the answers to all your questions." Bhadrapala said to the Buddha, "I pray that you will pronounce it. What the Buddha will now pronounce is all-encompassing. It will give peace to sentient beings in worlds in the 10 directions and provide great illumination to bodhisattvas." The Buddha told Bhadrapala, "There is a samadhi called concentrated mind. Bodhisattvas should constantly guard, learn, and uphold it, never to follow other ways. Of all virtuous ways, this is the foremost one." Chapter 2. The Training. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, "If bodhisattvas aspire to attain this samadhi quickly, they should stand in great faith. Those who train themselves in accordance with the Dharma can attain this samadhi. Do not raise any doubts, even as slight as a hair. This Dharma of concentrated mind is also called the Bodhisattva way, surpassing all other ways." Then the Buddha spoke in verse, "With a single thought, believe in this Dharma, following the teachings heard. Think only of one object. Keep only one thought, ceasing all other thoughts. Stand firm in your faith without any doubts. Progress energetically, never negligent or indolent. Think of neither existence nor non-existence, neither progress nor regress. Think of neither front nor back, neither left nor right. Think of neither non-existence nor existence, neither far nor near. Think of neither pain nor itch, neither hunger nor thirst. Think of neither cold nor hot, neither pain nor pleasure. Think of neither birth nor old age, neither illness nor death. Think of neither body nor life, nor longevity. Think of neither wealth nor poverty, neither nobility nor lowliness. Think of neither sense objects nor desires. Think of neither large nor small, neither long nor short. Think of neither beauty nor ugliness. Think of neither evil nor good, neither anger nor delight. Think of neither rising nor sitting, neither proceeding nor stopping. Think of neither the sutras nor the Dharma. Think of neither right nor wrong, neither grasping nor abandoning. Think of neither perception nor consciousness. Think of neither cessation nor continuation. Think of neither emptiness nor true reality. Think of neither heavy nor light, neither hard nor easy. Think of neither deep nor shallow, neither broad nor narrow. Think of neither father nor mother, neither wife nor children. Think of neither friends nor acquaintances, neither love nor hatred. Think of neither gain nor loss, neither success nor failure. Think of neither clarity nor turbidity. Cease all thoughts and be vigilant for a given period of time, never distracted. Progress energetically, never negligent or indolent. Do not count the years, nor feel tired in a single day. Hold one thought, never losing it. Avoid sleep and keep the mind alert. Always live alone and avoid gatherings. Shun evil ones, but stay near beneficent friends. Serve illuminated teachers, regarding them as Buddhas. Hold firm your resolve, but always be gentle. Meditate on the equality of all things. Avoid your hometown and keep away from relatives. Abandon love and desire and live in purity. Meditate on that which is asanskrita and cease desires. Drop distracting thoughts and learn the way of concentration. Gain wisdom from words in accord with dhyana. Remove the 3 afflictions and purify the 6 faculties. Cease lustful pursuits and leave sensory pleasures behind. Do not be greedy for wealth or accumulate things. Know contentment in eating and do not covet flavors. Take care never to eat any sentient being, dead or alive. Dress in accordance with the Dharma and do not be honoredly adorned. Do not tease others, nor be proud or arrogant. Do not be conceited, nor elevate yourself. Expound sutras in accordance with the Dharma. Understand that the body has always been like an illusion. Do not be engrossed by the 5 aggregates, nor revel in the 12 sensory fields. The 5 aggregates are like thieves, and the 4 domains are like snakes. All are impermanent, and all are unstable. Recognize that there has never been an everlasting ruler in one. Only convergence and divergence of causes and conditions. Understand and know that nothing in existence is real. Bestow loving kindness and sympathy on all. Give alms to the poor and relief to the unfortunate. This is meditative concentration in the Bodhisattva way, which will unfold the fundamental wisdom and elicit myriads of wisdom knowledge. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, one who trains in this way will attain the Samadhi in which present Buddhas all stand before one. If among bhikshus, bhikshunis, upasakas and upasikas, there are those who want to train according to this Dharma, they should fully observe their precepts and live alone in a place to think of Amitabha Buddha, who now is in the West. According to the teachings heard, one should also think of his land called Sukhavati, which is 10 million Koti Buddha lands away from here. One should single-mindedly contemplate for 1 day and 1 night, or even 7 days and 7 nights. After the 7th day, one will see him. By analogy, one sees things in a dream, not knowing whether it is day or night, indoors or outdoors, and one's sight is impervious to darkness or obstructions. Bhadrapala, bodhisattvas should do this contemplation. Then huge mountains, Sumeru mountains, and dark places in the intervening Buddha lands will all fall away, not posing any obstruction. These bodhisattvas will see across without having the God eye, hear across without having the God ear, and travel to that Buddha land without possessing transcendental powers. It is not that they have died here and be reborn there, but that they can sit here and see everything there. As an analogy, a man hears that in the kingdom of Vaisali lives a prostitute named Sumana. A second man hears of a prostitute called Amrapali, and a third man hears that Utpalavarna has become a prostitute. These three men have never seen those three women, but they have heard of them and their lust is ignited. They all live in Rajagriha, and they have lustful thoughts concurrently. Each of them goes in a dream to the woman he thinks of and spends the night with her. When they wake up, they all remember their own dreams. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, "The three women I have mentioned serve as an analogy. You may use this story to expound the sutras, enabling others to unfold their wisdom, so that they will arrive at the ground of no regress on the unsurpassed true way. When they eventually attain Buddhahood, they all will be called superb enlightenment." The Buddha said, "Bodhisattvas in this land can see Amitabha Buddha by thinking intently only of him. When they see him, they can ask, 'What dharma should I uphold in order to be reborn in your land?' Amitabha Buddha will reply, 'Those who wish to be reborn in my land should think of my name. If they can continue without rest, they will succeed in being reborn here.'" The Buddha said, "Because of intent thinking, one will be reborn there. One should always think of Amitabha Buddha's body with the 32 physical marks and the 80 excellent characteristics, unequal in its majesty, radiating vast bright light to illuminate everywhere. He teaches in the assembly of bodhisattvas and bhikshus that dharmas, in true reality, are empty and therefore indestructible. Why? Because indestructible are all dharmas such as form, pain, itch, thinking, perception, birth, death, consciousness, spirit, earth, water, fire, wind, the human world, and the heaven world, including great Brahma heaven. By thinking of a Buddha, one attains the Samadhi of emptiness." The Buddha told Bhadrapala, "Who have attained this Bodhisattva Samadhi? My disciple Mahakāshyapa, Indraguna Bodhisattva, the godson good virtue, and those who already know this Samadhi have attained it through training. Hence, Bhadrapala, those who wish to see present Buddhas in worlds in the 10 directions should think of their lands single-mindedly without other thoughts. Then they will be able to see them." As an analogy, one travels to a distant land and thinks of family and kin in one's hometown. In a dream, one returns home, sees one's family and relatives, and enjoys talking to them. After waking, one tells one's dream to friends. The Buddha said, "If bodhisattvas hear of a Buddha's name and wish to see him, They will be able to see him by constantly thinking of him and his land. For example, a bhikshu visualizes before him the bones of a corpse turning blue, white, red, or black. The colors are not brought by anyone, but are imagined by his mind. Likewise, by virtue of Buddha's awesome spiritual power, bodhisattvas who skillfully abide in this samadhi can see, as they wish, a Buddha of any land. Why? Because they are able to see him by virtue of three powers: the power of Buddhas, the power of the samadhi, and the power of their own merit. As an analogy, a handsome young man dressed in fine clothes wants to see his own face. He can see his reflection by looking into a hand mirror, pure oil, clear water, or a crystal. Does his reflection come from the outside into the mirror, oil, water, or crystal? Bhadrapala replied, "No, it does not, God of gods. It is because of the clarity of the mirror, oil, water, or crystal that the man can see his reflection. His reflection comes from neither the inside of the medium nor the outside." The Buddha said, "Very good, Bhadrapala. Because the medium is clear, the reflection is clear. Likewise, if one wishes to see a Buddha, one with a pure mind will be able to see. When one sees him, one can ask questions, and he will give a reply. Having heard the teachings, one will be exultant and think, 'Where does this Buddha come from, and where am I going?' As I think of this Buddha, he comes from nowhere, and I am going nowhere. As I think of the desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm, these three realms are formed by my mind. I can see what I think of. The mind forms a Buddha for itself to see. The mind is the Buddha mind. As my mind forms a Buddha, my mind is the Buddha. My mind is the Tathagata. My mind is my body." Although the mind sees a Buddha, the mind neither knows itself nor sees itself. The mind with perceptions is samsara. The mind without perceptions is nirvana. Dharmas as perceived are not something pleasurable. They are empty thoughts, nothing real. This is what bodhisattvas see as they abide in this samadhi. Then the Buddha spoke in verse, "The mind does not know itself. The mind does not see itself. The mind that fabricates perceptions is false. The mind without perceptions is nirvana. Dharmas are not firm, only founded upon thinking. Those who see emptiness with this understanding are free from perceptions and expectations." Chapter 3. 4 Things to Do. The Buddha continued, "There are 4 things through which bodhisattvas can quickly attain this samadhi. First, have faith that no one can destroy. Second, make energetic progress that nothing can deter. Third, have wisdom knowledge with which no one else's can compare. Fourth, always work under a beneficent teacher. These are the 4 things. There are another 4 things which will enable one to attain this samadhi quickly. First, do not engage in worldly thinking for 3 months, not even during a finger snap. Second, do not sleep for 3 months, not even during a finger snap. Third, do walking meditation for 3 months without any rest, except when eating, and so forth. Fourth, expound sutras to others, not expecting their offerings. These are the 4 things. There are another 4 things which will enable one to attain this samadhi quickly. First, take people to the Buddha. Second, gather people to have them hear the teachings. Third, have no jealousy. Fourth, have people learn the Buddha way. These are the 4 things. There are another 4 things which will enable one to attain this samadhi quickly. First, construct Buddha's images. Second, copy the sutra on fine fabric. Third, teach the conceited ones to enter the Buddha way. Fourth, always protect and uphold the Buddha Dharma. These are the 4 things. Then the Buddha spoke in verse. Always believe and delight in the Buddha Dharma. Progress energetically to unfold profound wisdom. Disseminate and pronounce the Dharma to others. Guard against greed for offerings. Discard desires with good understanding. Always think of Buddhas who have awesome virtue, and see and know Dharmas in limitless diversity. Past Buddhas, future Buddhas, and present Buddhas, revered among men, with no more afflictions to discharge, are golden in color and have superb physical marks. They give firm teachings with wisdom beyond the ultimate. Listen to this Dharma with an undistracted mind. Forever discard the way of negligence and indolence. Never bear malice toward others. Respect teachers as you do Buddhas. Take care not to have doubts about this sutra, which is praised by all Buddhas. Always construct and enshrine Buddha's images. Always persuade others to learn this Dharma and practice it to attain this samadhi. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, those who want to learn this samadhi should respect their teachers, serve them, and make offerings to them, regarding them as Buddhas. Those who see their teachers as less than Buddhas will have difficulty attaining this samadhi. Bodhisattvas who respect beneficent teachers from whom they have learned this samadhi can advance. By virtue of Buddha's awesome spiritual power, when they face the East, they will see 1 billion Koti Buddhas. In the same way, they will see Buddhas in worlds in the 10 directions. By analogy, one observes the night sky and sees myriads of stars. Bodhisattvas who wish to see present Buddhas all standing before them should respect beneficent teachers, not looking for their faults. Never negligent or indolent, they should fully train in giving alms, observing precepts, enduring adversity, and making energetic progress single-mindedly. Chapter 4. The Analogies. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, Bodhisattvas who have attained this samadhi, but do not progress energetically, are like those who are shipwrecked midway while crossing an immense ocean on a ship fully loaded with treasures. People in Jambudvipa will all be in tremendous anguish, concerned about the loss of their treasures. If bodhisattvas have heard this samadhi, but do not learn it, gods will all sadly say, our sutra treasure is lost. The Buddha said, this samadhi is taught and praised by all Buddhas. Those who have heard this profound samadhi sutra, but do not copy, study, recite, or uphold it in accordance with the Dharma are foolish. As an analogy, someone gives sandalwood incense to a fool, but he refuses to accept it, saying that the incense is impure. The giver says, "This is sandalwood incense. Do not say that it is impure. If you smell it, you will know that it is fragrant. If you look at it, you will know that it is pure." That fool closes his eyes, refusing to see or smell it. The Buddha said, those who have heard this Samadhi Sutra but refuse to accept it are as ignorant as that fool. They defiantly argue that everything in the world exists. Not having realized emptiness, they do not know non-existence. Alleging that their views accord with the Dharma, they say in mockery, "Does the Buddha have profound sutras as well as awesome spiritual powers?" They say these contradictory words. Are there bhikshus in the world who are like Ananda? The Buddha said, those people walk away from the ones who uphold this Samadhi Sutra. In twos and threes, they say to one another, "What do these words mean? Where did they get these words? They must have gathered together to forge this sutra. It is not pronounced by the Buddha." The Buddha told Bhadrapala, as an analogy, a merchant shows a precious gem to a foolish farm boy. The boy asks, "How much is it worth?" The merchant replies, "If you place this gem in the dark, its light shines on the treasures that fill up that area." The Buddha said, the foolish boy still does not know that this gem is precious. He asks, "Can its value be compared with that of a cow? I would rather trade it for a cow. If you agree, it is fine. If you disagree, forget it." Bhadrapala, bodhisattvas who, having heard this samadhi, do not believe it and make contradictory remarks, are like that foolish boy. The Buddha said, bodhisattvas who, having heard this Samadhi Sutra, believe, accept, and uphold it, and train accordingly, are supported by those around them and have nothing to fear. Fully observing their precepts, they are brilliant and their wisdom is profound. They disseminate the Dharma and tell people to teach others, who in turn teach others, enabling this Samadhi Sutra to remain in the world for a long time. The Buddha said, those fools have not made offerings or acquired merits in their past lives. They have instead elevated themselves, carrying on their slanderous and jealous ways. Greedy for wealth and benefits, they seek fame and reputation. They only want to make noisy remarks because they do not believe in profound sutras. Having heard this Samadhi Sutra, they neither believe nor appreciate it, nor learn it. Instead, they malign this sutra, alleging that it is not pronounced by the Buddha. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, now I tell you this. If good men and good women give as alms treasures that fill up the 3,000 large thousandfold world, their merit is less than that of those who hear this Samadhi Sutra and believe and delight in it. Their merit surpasses that of the almsgivers. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, I now say these words, which will never change. Setting aside those who, in future lives, will follow evil teachers, if there are those who now have doubts about this Samadhi I have pronounced, their merit is not worth mentioning. even if in future lives they follow good teachers, these people will nevertheless defect from good teachers to work under evil teachers. Why is that they, having heard this Samadhi, neither believe nor appreciate it and choose not to learn it? They disbelieve because they have seen few Buddhas in the past and have little wisdom. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, I have the foresight and foreknowledge of those who, having heard this Samadhi Sutra, will not laugh in contempt, malign, doubt, or certainly believe and certainly disbelieve, but will delight in copying, learning, reciting, and upholding it. They not only have accumulated merit under one or two Buddhas, but have heard this Samadhi Sutra from 100 Buddhas. When they hear this Samadhi Sutra in their future lives, if they copy, learn, recite, and uphold it, even for only one day and one night, their merit will be beyond calculation. They will arrive at the spiritual level of Avinivartaniya on their own as they wish. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, hear this analogy. Suppose someone crushes a Buddha land into dust, then further pulverizes each dust particle into more particles. Is the number of dust particles produced from a Buddha land very huge? Bhadrapala replied, very huge, God of gods. The Buddha said, suppose a bodhisattva takes all these dust particles and places each in a Buddha land. He then takes treasures that fill up all these Buddha lands to make an offering to Buddhas. His merit is very little in comparison with that of those who have heard this Samadhi Sutra and have learned, copied, recited, and upheld it. Even if they explain this sutra to others only for a short while, this merit is beyond calculation. Even greater is the merit of those who have fully attained this Samadhi. Then the Buddha spoke in verse. If they are bodhisattvas who seek merit, they should pronounce and train in this Samadhi. Those who believe, delight in, and recite this sutra without doubts have immeasurable merit. Crushing one Buddha land into dust particles, one can give as alms treasures filling Buddha lands that are as numerous as dust particles. Those who have heard this Samadhi have merit greater than that of the alms giver. Their merit is beyond analogy. I entrust you all to teach others, to progress energetically without negligence or indolence. Those who recite and uphold this Samadhi Sutra have already beheld 100,000 Buddhas. As for the huge dread at the final moment of life, those abiding in this Samadhi will have no fear. Bhikshus who train in this way have already seen me. They will always follow the Buddha, never far from him. As the Buddha's words never change, bodhisattvas should always follow his teachings to attain quickly Samyak Sambodhi, the ocean of wisdom. Chapter 5. The Four Groups of Disciples. Bhadrapala asked the Buddha, unrivaled God of gods, if there are those who, after abandoning loves and desires to become bhikshus, have heard of this Samadhi, how should they learn, uphold, and practice it? The Buddha replied, those who, having abandoned loves and desires and become bhikshus, aspire to learn this Samadhi, should observe their precepts with purity, without any flaw, even as light as a hair. To remain pure, they should dread the suffering of hell and refrain from sycophancy. What is a flaw in observing the precepts? The Buddha replied, seeking form. What is meant by seeking form? The Buddha replied, if a person's motive of observing the precepts for self-restraint is to be reborn in the next life as a god or a wheel-turning king, such a wish for pleasures, loves, and desires is called a flaw in observing the precepts. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, those who protect their purity, fully observe their precepts, and do not adulate others, are always praised by the wise. They should give alms and progress energetically in accordance with the sutras. Their resolve should be strong, and they should have great faith and sympathetic joy. Those who serve their teachers as they do Buddhas will attain this samadhi quickly. Those who are disrespectful and readily deceitful to their teachers will quickly lose this samadhi, though they have been training for a long time. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, Bodhisattvas who have heard this samadhi from bhikshus, bhikshunis, upasakas or upasikas should regard them as Buddhas and respect them without intending sycophancy. Bodhisattvas should never be sycophantic but always be earnest. They should always delight in living alone. Though not begrudging even their lives, they should not hope for others to make requests of them. They should always beg for food, not accepting meal invitations. They should guard their moral integrity and be content with what they have. They should do walking meditation, not lying down to relax. Those who are learning this samadhi should abide by the teachings in the sutras. Bhadrapala said to the Buddha, Unrivaled God of gods, it cannot be helped that in future times there will be negligent and indolent bodhisattvas who, after hearing this samadhi, will not learn it diligently. However, there will be bodhisattvas who aspire to learn this samadhi and progress energetically, and we will teach them to follow the Dharma in this sutra. The Buddha said, Very good, Bhadrapala. As I express my sympathetic joy, so too Buddhas of the past, future, and present all express their sympathetic joy. Then the Buddha spoke in verse, Accept and uphold all that I say. Always live alone and accumulate merit, guarding your moral integrity. Do not join crowds. Always beg for food, not accepting meal invitations. Respect Dharma masters and regard them as Buddhas. Avoid sleep and strengthen willpower. Always progress energetically, without negligence or indolence. Those who train in this way will attain this samadhi. Bhadrapala asked the Buddha, if bhikshunis who seek the bodhisattva way aspire to learn this samadhi, what should they do? The Buddha replied, Bhikshunis who seek this samadhi should not elevate themselves. They should be humble, neither self-dignifying nor self-aggrandizing. They should harbor neither jealousy nor anger nor greed for wealth, benefits, or sense objects. They should protect their purity even at the cost of their lives. They should always delight in the Dharma in the sutras and learn as much as possible. They should discard greed, anger, and delusion, and they should not be greedy for fine clothing or adornments, such as necklaces of gems. Then they will be praised by the wise. They should respect beneficent teachers and regard them as Buddhas without intending sycophancy. Then the Buddha spoke in verse, if bhikshunis seek this samadhi, they should progress energetically, never negligent or indolent. Do not follow the mind of greed. Remove anger and self-glorification. Do not be arrogant, deceitful, or playful. Always act in earnest, standing firm in the one faith. Respect beneficent teachers and regard them as Buddhas. Those who train in this way will attain this samadhi. Bhadrapala asked the Buddha, if upasakas who are training for Bodhi have heard of this samadhi and aspire to learn it, what should they do? The Buddha replied, upasakas who aspire to learn this samadhi should faithfully observe the 5 precepts. They should neither drink alcohol nor have others drink alcohol. They should not be intimate with women or advise others to be intimate with women. They should not be attached to their wives, nor to men or other women. They should not have greed for wealth. They should constantly think of renouncing family life to become Shramanas. They should regularly observe the 8 precepts in a Buddhist temple. They should always remember to give alms, because alms are given to benefit others. After giving alms, they should not think, I have gained merit. They should have great loving kindness and respect for their beneficent teachers. When they see bhikshus who observe their precepts, they should not readily talk about their faults. Having carried out these actions, they should learn to abide in this samadhi. Then the Buddha spoke in verse, upasakas who aspire to learn this samadhi should observe the 5 precepts without breach or flaw. They should always think of becoming Shramanas, not greedy for wives, riches, or sense objects. They should regularly observe the 8 precepts in a Buddhist temple, neither conceited nor contemptuous of others. Their minds do not expect glory, nor think of wants. They should carry out the Dharma in the Sutras without a sycophantic mind. Abandoning stinginess and greed, they should give generous alms. They should always respect bhikshus and make offerings to them. They should resolve to take the one training without being negligent or indolent. Those who are learning this samadhi should act in this way. Bhadrapala asked the Buddha, if upasikas who have heard of this samadhi aspire to learn it, what should they do? The Buddha replied, if upasikas aspire to learn this samadhi, they should observe the 5 precepts and willingly take refuge in the 3 jewels. What are these 3? They should take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, never to follow other paths. They should not make obeisance to gods nor worship spirits. They should not select auspicious states. They should not be playful or indulgent or think of sensory pleasures. Subjugating the mind of greed, they should remember to give alms. Delighting in hearing the sutras, they should remember to study hard and respect beneficent teachers. Their minds should be vigilant, never negligent or indolent. They should offer a sitting down meal to bhikshus or bhikshunis who pass by. Then the Buddha spoke in verse, upasikas who aspire to learn this samadhi should observe the 5 precepts without breach or flaw. They should serve beneficent teachers and regard them as Buddhas. They should not worship gods nor idolize spirits. They should stop killing, stealing, and feeling jealous. They should never say divisive words to incite conflict among people. They should be neither stingy nor greedy, but always remember to give alms. They should not publicize the evil, but always praise the good. They should refrain from sycophancy and sexual misconduct. They should be humble, not self-aggrandizing. They should respectfully serve bhikshus and bhikshunis. Those who train in this way will attain this samadhi. Chapter 6. Support and Protection. The 8 Bodhisattvas, Bhadrapala, Ralinnaga, Gauchata, Naradatta, Suksama, Mahasusaha, Indrada, and Haranda, having heard the Buddha's words, greatly rejoiced. They offered the Buddha 500 fine cotton garments and precious gems, and joyfully served the Buddha. The Buddha told Ananda, Bhadrapala and 7 others are teachers to the 500 people who are with them. They will uphold the true Dharma and teach and transform these people accordingly. Then these people will all be joyful, and their minds will be free from desires. At that time, these 500 people joined their palms, standing before the Buddha. Bhadrapala asked the Buddha, how many things should bodhisattvas do in order to attain this samadhi quickly? The Buddha replied, there are 4 things. First, do not believe in other paths. Second, cease love and desire. Third, carry out the pure ways. Fourth, have no greed. These are the 4. Those who do them will acquire 500 benefits in their present lives. For example, bhikshus with the mind of loving kindness will never be killed or harmed by poison, knives or other weapons, fire or water. Even when the kalpa is ending, with the world in flames, if they fall into that fire, it will extinguish, just like a small fire put out by a massive amount of water. Whether kings, thieves, water or fire, whether dragons, yakshas, serpents, lions, tigers or wolves, whether forest phantoms, hungry ghosts or kumbhandas, those who, targeting bodhisattvas abiding in this samadhi, desire to bewitch them, kill them, rob them of their robes and bowls, or destroy their meditation and mindfulness, will never succeed. Unless such misfortune is brought about by their past karmas, things will be, as I say, not different. The Buddha said, those who uphold this samadhi will not have ailments of the eye, ear, nose, mouth, or body, nor will they have anxiety in their minds, except for misfortune in response to karmas in their past lives. The Buddha said, all gods, dragons, asuras, yakshas, garudas, kinnaras, and mahoragas, as well as humans and non-humans, will acclaim these bodhisattvas. They all will support, protect, and serve these bodhisattvas and make offerings to them. As they regard these bodhisattvas with respect and wish to see them, so too will Buddhas. If there are sutras that these bodhisattvas did not hear or uphold before, they will obtain them because of the awesome power of this samadhi. If they do not obtain them during the day, they will receive them in a night dream. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, I can describe for one kalpa after another the merit of those who abide in this samadhi, but still cannot cover them all. I have only briefly mentioned a few essential ones. Chapter 7. Sympathetic Joy. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, Bodhisattvas can think 4 thoughts to kindle their sympathetic joy in order to attain this samadhi. First, past Buddhas, when they were bodhisattvas, attained this samadhi because of their sympathetic joy, who then attained through self-realization Anuttara Sankhya Sambodhi with full wisdom, knowledge. Second, innumerable present Buddhas in worlds in the 10 directions, when they were bodhisattvas, have attained this samadhi because of their sympathetic joy, kindled by thinking these 4 thoughts. Third, future Buddhas, as present bodhisattvas, will attain this samadhi because they also think these 4 thoughts to kindle their sympathetic joy. Fourth, I too have sympathetic joy. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, in regard to the 4 thoughts to kindle one's sympathetic joy, I will use a few analogies. A person walks during his 100-year lifespan without rest, and he walks faster than the wind. Can you figure out the area he has covered? Bhadrapala replied, no one can calculate this. Only the Buddha's disciple Shariputra and bodhisattvas at the spiritual level of Avinivardhaniya can figure this out. The Buddha said, therefore, as I say to bodhisattvas, if they are good men and good women who give away as alms treasures that fill up the area traversed by that person, their merit is less than that from hearing this samadhi and thinking the 4 thoughts to kindle sympathetic joy. This merit is 1,000,000,000 koti times more than that from giving alms. Know that the merit acquired from having sympathetic joy is great. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, far back, incalculable asankhya kalpas ago, in a remote place lived a Buddha called Sammukhāvasthita. The Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, unsurpassed one, tamer of men, teacher to gods and men, Buddha, the world-honored one. At that time, the continent of Jambudvipa was 180,000 koti lis in length and width. There were 6,400,000 kingdoms, prosperous and densely populated. There was a great kingdom called Bhadrakara, ruled by a wheel-turning king named Vaisin. He went to that Buddha, made obeisance and stepped back to sit on one side. That Buddha knew his intention and pronounced this Samadhi Sūtra to him. Having heard it, the king, with sympathetic joy, showered jewels upon that Buddha as he thought to himself, I should transfer this merit to people in worlds in the 10 directions to give them peace. After Singhamati Buddha entered Parinirvana, the king Vaisin died. He was reborn in his own family and became the crown prince called Brahmada. At that time, there was a bhikshu called Jewel who was pronouncing this Samadhi Sutra to his 4 groups of disciples. Brahmada heard of it, and sympathetic joy arose in him. Exuberantly, he took jewels worth hundreds of koti of great price and showered them upon that bhikshu, and also offered him fine clothing. Resolved to seek the Buddha way, together with 1,000 people, Brahmada became a shramana under that bhikshu. To hear this Samadhi Sutra, he and the 1,000 people served their teacher tirelessly for 8,000 years. Because of hearing this Samadhi Sutra, though only once, and thinking the 4 thoughts that kindled his sympathetic joy, he acquired excellent knowledge. For this reason, he subsequently saw 68,000 Buddhas. From each of these Buddhas, he heard this Samadhi Sutra again. Through self-realization, he has become a Buddha called Tilavida, the Samyak Sambuddha, unsurpassed one, tamer of men, teacher of gods and humans, Buddha, the world-honored one. Those 1,000 bhikshus have also attained Samyak Sambodhi, and all of them are called Tilajusa. They have taught innumerable people to seek Buddha Bodhi. The Buddha asked Bhadrapala, after hearing this Samadhi Sutra, who would not have sympathetic joy, who would rather not learn, uphold, and recite it and explain it to others? The Buddha said, those who abide in this Samadhi will quickly attain Buddhahood. The merit acquired from only hearing it is incalculable. Much greater is the merit acquired from learning and upholding it. One should seek this Samadhi teaching, even if it is 100 or 1,000 leagues away. How can one not seek to learn it when it is close by? Those who, having heard of this Samadhi, aspire to learn and uphold it, should serve their teachers for 10 years, paying visits and making offerings, which they dare not use for themselves. They should follow their teachers' teachings and always remember their kindness. The Buddha said, therefore, I tell you this, if one travels 4,000 leagues to hear this Samadhi Sutra, one's merit is incalculable, even if one fails to hear it. Why? Because with such motivation to make energetic progress, one will attain Buddhahood through self-realization. Chapter 8. Utmost Sincerity. The Buddha said, in the distant past, there was a Buddha called Saccanama, the Samyak Sambuddha, unsurpassed one, teacher to gods and men, Buddha, the world-honored one. At that time, there lived a bhikshu named Halan. After that Buddha entered parinirvana, that bhikshu upheld this Samadhi Sutra. At that time, I was a king in the Kshatriya caste, and I heard of this Samadhi Sutra in a dream. Upon waking, I immediately went to that bhikshu and became a shramana under him. For the sake of hearing this Samadhi Sutra, I served that teacher for 36,000 years. However, I was unable to hear it because time and again Mara matters arose. The Buddha told the bhikshus, bhikshunis, upasakas and upasikas, hence I tell you all to learn this Samadhi as soon as possible, never to lose it. You should properly serve your teacher and uphold this Samadhi Sutra for 1 kalpa, 100 kalpas, or even 100,000 kalpas, never negligent or indolent. You should stay with a beneficent teacher and never leave him. Do not begrudge food, drink, life-supporting goods, clothing, bedding, beds, or precious jewels. If you do not have any, you should beg for food and offer it to your teacher. Work tirelessly to attain this Samadhi. You should even cut off your own flesh to offer to your beneficent teacher, not to mention giving precious things. Serve your beneficent teacher like a slave serving a great family. Those who seek this Samadhi should act in this way. Having attained this Samadhi, one should abide in it and always remember the kindness of one's teacher. This Samadhi Sutra is hard to encounter. There are those who seek for 100,000 kalpas, but cannot even hear the name of this Samādhi. How could anyone who has learned it not progress diligently? If there are those who give as alms treasures filling Buddha lands as numerous as the sands of the Ganges, they cannot be compared with one who is learning this Samādhi, or one who has attained it, is progressing energetically, and is teaching it to others. The Buddha told Bhadrapala, if there are those who aspire to learn this Samādhi, they need to have sympathetic joy in order to succeed. Students are enabled to learn it by virtue of Buddha's awesome spiritual power. They should copy this Samādhi Sūtra on fine fabric, consecrate the copies with the Buddha seal, and make offerings. What is the Buddha seal? It refers to freedom from deluded states. No greed, no quest, no perception, no attachment, no wish for rebirth, no intended life form for rebirth, no grasping, no concern, no abiding, no obstruction, no bondage, no existence, no desire, no birth, no death, no destruction, and no decay. This seal is the essence and the root of Bodhi. It is beyond Arhats and Pachika Buddhas, not to mention fools. This seal is the Buddha seal. The Buddha said, as I now pronounce this Samādhi, 1,800 Koti gods, asuras, spirits, dragons, and their retinues have entered the holy stream, becoming Srotapannas, and 800 bhikshus and 500 bhikshunis have become arhats. 10,000 bodhisattvas have attained this Samādhi, realizing that dharmas have no birth. 12,000 bodhisattvas have attained the spiritual level of no regress. The Buddha told the bhikshus Shariputra and Moggallāyana, as well as Bhadrapala Bodhisattva and others, I sought Bodhi for uncountable kalpas, and I now have attained Buddhahood. I uphold this sutra and entrust it to you all. Study and recite it, uphold and guard it, and do not forget or lose it. If there are those who aspire to learn it, you should teach them completely in accordance with the Dharma. You should pronounce it fully to those who wish to hear it. After the Buddha pronounced this sutra, Bhadrapala Bodhisattva and the bhikshus Shariputra, Moggallāyana, and Ananda, as well as gods, asuras, dragons, spirits, and their retinues, greatly rejoiced. They made obeisance to the Buddha and departed.